Queer theory versus Quare theory, are you familiar with either? See, queer theory emerged from the 1990s Academy, and personally, I was exposed to Judy Butler and Michelle Foucault. But I promise y'all, it's a lot more queer scholars out there that's constantly challenging fixed sexual identities and fixed gendered identities. Let me know if I disagree in the comments. I would say queer theory's main contribution is the concept of performativity. It's the idea that our identities is not fixed expressions of an inner truth, but it's they constantly created and reinforced through repeated social acts. Think about it how we say like, hey, even though that is a man, we say you acting like a bitch. Or you think about this, a straight person and say you acting gay. This is about performativity. At least this is how I understood it when I was a teenager. Well, technically I was like 20, 21, but that's beside the point though. Peep game. It's a criticism that exists. It goes by Quare theory, and of course it's made by somebody that is black. Simply put, Quare theory is a structural critique, yes, a structural critique of queer studies and its tendency to lean towards white normativity, how it universalizes white ideology in terms of white embodiment, or actually what the Quare theorists say is disembodiment. See, Quare theory argues that mainstream queer theories, universalism often fails to analyze specific logics around anti-blackness, settler colonialism, social economics and class and race, you see what I mean? But the founding essay of queer theory is by this dude by the name of E. Patrick Johnson. He argued that mainstream queer theory is built on white middle class assumptions and offers Quare as a performance that is based in intersectional framework that's rooted, I love me a Southern black vernacular as a Texan with a Texas draw, you feel me? But it comes from the black Southern vernacular that directly challenge queer theory's erasure of race and class, because once you get below that Mason-Dixon line, it goes a little different down here. See, E. Patrick Johnson is a scholar of performance and a gay black man from the South. He noticed that the queer theory's performativity and their abstract ideals around gender and sexuality was usually untethered to the lived experience, and he had a problem with that. Yeah, we getting real intersectional with this one today, ain't we? Patrick Johnson argued that it talked about it being queer theory, talked about the body, but rarely about the bodies that's race, that's class, that's bruised, that's hungry. It celebrated subversion, but often from the safety of a university, from the academy, from the Ivy Tower, from a white suburb, from an urban nightclub, always in a space that is not situated within these class or racialized bodies. Funny story, I used to be a college policy debater, and when I first came across Quare theory, I was talking to somebody that was from the Midwest, my good sister Toya G, and I said, hey, I came across Quare theory, and she was like, you gonna be singing? I was trying to say Quare, you feel me, but it was through this Southern vernacular. So I think that this right here is good context for what I'm going with this. Finna get in my linguistic bag, man. Shout out to Summer Machado. Queer itself is a Southern black epistemological claim. Epistemology is being a fancy word for knowledge production. How do you know what you know? It comes from a grandmother's mouth in the vernacular and the rhetoric that a lot of this world marks as being ahistorical or apolitical or a-intellectual. Let me be clear though, I'm not advocating for a complete disregard of the scholarship or the academy research around queer theory. I'm giving you a critique with some teeth though. See, queer theory gave us the language and space to academically doubt. It taught us that gender is a citation without an original, that sexuality is not a destiny, but performance. Judy Butler showed us that the body on a stage reputation, that drag, camp, and endless looping of norms. And when I was in grad school, I personally appreciated old Judy's defining gender performativity. Judy Butler was arguing that gender isn't an essence of a citational practice, but it is brought into being through the repetition of acts, of gestures, of styles. That's why I think about the concept of acting gay or acting like a woman or acting like a man, even though the body or the identity is in opposition, because it's about the repetition of these acts, the way it's described on the people. The tension still lies though in the body and lived experience, which is a critique. I think Johnson's background in performance studies scholarship allows for him to swap Butler's abstract performativity and embodied performance. This is the actual doing and the actual flesh. And let me know in the comment section, let me know in the comment section, Johnson has a deeper analysis on the theory of flesh. Let me know if y'all interested in that. But education is elevation, and I hope this little video was able to sprinkle in a little literacy and how we think about different identities, especially when it comes to the intersection of race and sexuality, man. Shout out to everybody in the academy doing their thing around queer theory and Quare theory, and make sure that you're accounting for the lived experiences of the people, man. Happy Pride, and I'm just trying